And they begin to ponder, why is it that the West is so strong? Or more importantly for our purposes, why is it that we are so weak? We who had been so powerful. And so we saw rejections of Confucianism, of the Confucian tradition, in various countries. It starts in Japan in the 1860s and the 1870s. With the Meiji Restoration, with people like Fukuzawa Yukichi and his harsh critique of Confucianism and of its negative influences, negative effects on Japanese society. And we have things like the Meirokuzashi and many other activities throughout the late 1860s and the 1870s, which were devoted to the total westernization of Japanese society. And we also had the gakusei, or the education system, school system, that regulations that were promulgated in the 1870s that removed Confucianism entirely from the Japanese school curriculum. So the Japanese were the first to step up and say, Confucianism is bad. It no longer works for us. The second were the Koreans. In 1884, a group of young Korean intellectuals, inspired very much by the Meiji Restoration and influenced in part by Fukuzawa Yukichi, attempted to carry out a coup d'etat in Seoul, which they hoped would allow them to achieve in Korea what the Meiji Restoration had achieved in Japan. Their coup d'etat failed rather miserably. And they were either arrested or they had to flee into exile. And so after the coup d'etat, then there were still some people thinking quietly that we need to go beyond Confucianism. We need to radically change our society. But they did not have a public voice. It wasn't until the Sino-Japanese War of 1894 and 1895 that things changed radically in Korea. Nobody imagined that the Japanese would be able to defeat China, but the Japanese defeated China very handily. Shortly after the war broke out in 1894, the Chinese were forced out of the Korean Peninsula. The Japanese were there in large numbers, and they brought back with them